Hello everyone and welcome back to this channel. We are going to talk with Professor Ervin Laszlo about his new book, The Upshift, Path to Healing and Evolution on Planet Earth. So, Ervin, what inspired you to write this book?
Sheer necessity. It's said that necessity is the father of invention. This is my invention. Hopefully it's not an artificial one, not a mistaken one. The necessity is to shift, but to shift the right way, up. What I mean by up is evolution. Evolution has a direction, even though it has occasional periods of chaos and disruption, but on the whole there is a direction. If you take the 13.7 billion years since the Big Bang, sure there is a direction, but this direction is even the living world on Earth. And to shift up to the next step of our evolution as living species on Earth, that I think is the necessity. Shift, but in the right way. That's what I'm trying to do. To discuss and to disclose in this book.
I read it really fast and I have to go and reread it again because there's so much knowledge and information in it that I think you can read it quickly, but in order to actually understand what's going on, you have to come back to it. And that's why I like how it's organized in part 1, part 2, and chapters and all that. In one of the chapters, you talk about what people can do, because these days, many people feel resignation because of the war, climate change, poverty, and so that, what do you recommend people to do if they get this book and maybe they get inspired by it? What can they do? Some actionable steps.
Well, it's so wonderful that you come across this idea. That was a leading idea for me, to organize each chapter as making sense in itself, but following logically from the previous one and leading to the next one. So if you just read basically the headings of the chapters, you get almost the bones, the carrying structure of the book, of the ideas. The idea is itself is very simple. Here we are in a critical situation. We used to think that chaos leads to disorder and to conflict. We now know that chaos can very often lead to creativity, lead to novelty, to adopting something which was not there before. The chaos in which we find ourselves is the birth of a new world. A new world that has to come, has to be here, because the old one doesn't work anymore. But whether the new world is better or worse, that's up to us. Worse, it can't be for long, because if we go in the bad way, we are simply going to leave the stage of history. We're going to join the extinct species. This is said to be the 6th global extinction period. But the previous periods did not include humanity. This one does. This is both a danger and an opportunity. The danger that we also become extinct, but the opportunity for a conscious species to take matters into their own hands. There is a choice that is important to know. The future is not predetermined. We can still choose our destiny. A chaos is what is known as a point of chaos point or a bifurcation point. It's a choice point. Many possibilities open up in a situation of chaos. Which one will be used, will grow and take over at the next phase of the system? That is still to be decided. So the thought behind the upshift is, let's use the possibility, the opportunity to shift up for the next level of our evolution, to shift up to a sustainable world, where not only this nation or that, this company or that, this culture or that, but all of humanity, even more, all of life on Earth can live together, can thrive together. In nature, if you don't thrive, you disappear. In humanity, we need to learn to live in such a way that we don't just hold on to survive, but we actually strive together with the other forms of life on this planet.
Are you more of an optimist or a pessimist about humanity's future?
At this point, I could say that I more tend to be a cautious optimist. But it really, I am what I like to call a possibilist. I believe in possibility. And I have a sense, a kind of a cautious optimism that we are conscious species which will not simply disappear from this planet, that we rise to the challenge. This is my religion, if you like, my belief.
So in your other books, you talk about the akashic field. Can you explain that to our viewers? What does that mean, the akashic field or the akashic records, and what's the connection with consciousness?
Well, in history, the history of culture speaks very often about a world of interconnection beyond the everyday world, beyond our perceptions of the world. The perceptions show us things separate. This thing is here, that's over there. Perhaps there are mechanical connections between them. If you give a push and pull, that's a mechanical connection. But if you are switched together into the same network, that is not a mechanical connection. That's information, that's communication. And what we're beginning to see is that the real world is a world of communication. Moreover, it's a world not only of interconnection, but of memory. Nothing that has ever happened disappears without a trace. This is a universe which connects and which remembers. These are all sound, anthropomorphic terms. Sounds like we're just projecting them from our own experience. But the new physics tells us is that all things have a level of interconnection which is spontaneous and which is universal, quantum connections. And also shows that information, once it's brought into the world, continues. The same as energy, you cannot destroy information. But new energy can be created, unlike energy which cannot also be created. But information can be created by bringing together previous elements in a new configuration. And this is how life builds up, from particles to molecules, to cells, to organisms, to systems of organisms, to systems of life, to Gaia systems, biospheres. It's built up by information building on information. And that is the nature of the universe. This nature of connection and memory was previously ascribed to a mythical entity, an akashic field. But the akasha, after which this field is named, has been a basic element of thought in India for 5,000-6,000 years already. The akasha is a dimension of the world, is a more profound dimension, where everything is there in principle and nothing can disappear. So when we talk about the new concept of the universe, the new realization of what the universe is, we talk about the akasha, what the ancients called the akasha. And so let's call it the akashic field to honor this ancient insight. It's the universe, nothing more, nothing less. But all of the universe is an akashic field.
So when we talk about the field, the akashic field, the source, they are all the same.
All refers to the same thing. It's reality. It's the reality that is beyond the perception. Just as around us you see bushes, you see plants, you see trees. They all look separate. But beyond the ground, their roots intermingle. All of nature is intertwined together. William James, the great psychologist, said that we are like islands in the sea. We are separate on the surface, but they are joined in the deep. We are indeed joined because the akashic field, the universe at its deeper level, joins. Separateness is an illusion. No less a person than Albert Einstein said that. He said it out plain. Its separateness is an illusion. We are truly connected. When I am enters into what you are, you enter into what I am. and they all together form larger units. We have forgotten this, and we fight each other, we compete with each other as though we were separate. If we could rise above this separateness and realize that we are really part of the same system, the same living family, which we call the Gaia system. If we truly realize that there is this connection between us, that we are members of the same system, the same family, we will behave differently. We don't kill members of the same family. Love is a key element, and love is easier flowering when it has to do with people who join, who are part of the same thing, the same family. We are part of the family of light on earth. To love this family is to live together with that family. And that's the key to striving together with other members of the family. Being one, an old holistic notion, which now comes through again in the latest developments of the sciences. New quantum sciences, new biology, new psychology. All of this speak to us as being connected elements of the whole, which is the planet in the universe. Very large and lofty notions, but they are true, and we begin to realize them. And it's essential for our survival that we realize this. Then we don't have to be dictated what to do. Then we know what to do because we feel it. We have to feel our oneness, our belongingness, our togetherness. When we do that, then we'll create a peaceful world. We create a thriving world. This is why I'm a cautious optimist. I think it's in us. This sense of connection, the sense of oneness is deep down in every one of us. It's in every blade of grass. It's in every human being. To realize this is the way to the future.
What is the strongest force in nature, in the universe?
The attraction. The strongest force is to bring things together, to create not large agglomerates, heaps like piles of sand or piles of brick, but systems which are diverse but unified, bringing things together. Strongest force, right after the Big Bang, right after we are talking about hundreds of millions of years, but in a blink of an eye, relatively speaking, the first quantum particles appeared, given nuclei of hydrogen, and the hydrogen gas, as it emerged in the second phase, the second blink of an eye, it attracted electrons. Not any electrons, only as we know even today. Only certain electrons, certain shells around the atom can be accepted. And they together build a stable atom. And this atom can combine with other atoms for molecules. And then the song goes on, develops, combine into cells from the living systems, into whole ecosystems, into a culture, interconnected conscious universe, a living universe. That is the strongest force, the attractor. In the scientific terminology, we can call it the attractor for holism. I call it what is known as the holotropic attractor. An attractor is a dynamic element of the system that governs the way the system evolves. That's a technical definition. What there is in the universe is this holism-oriented attractor. It's oriented toward whole systems. We are whole systems when we are healthy. When we are sick, that's when it breaks down here and there. Healthy systems are whole, whether they are human beings or fish or plants. They belong to a holistic universe. And we can be a positive part of that holistic universe.
And what about love?
Love is the way you express your sense of wholeness. That is what you feel. Love is typically an expression. It is just the way that people can express what they feel. All religions express love in the one way or another. Jesus Christ spoke about love as the supreme principle. The Tao in the East, Confucianism, all of this is based on connection and solidarity between people. which in the last analysis is unrequited and unrelenting and unconditional love. That is the principle of the atom, of the molecule. That is the principle of the human organism. That is the principle of the human family and of the human culture, of the human species. We just have to realize it, live it, then we can act it.
Let's do some quick questions, just for fun. What's your favorite color?
Sky blue.
Okay. What's your favorite food?
Anything that is natural, based on plants. I eat meat, as I say, only in the embryonic form. The chicken in embryonic form is an egg. I eat that sometimes, but otherwise I eat only what grows on earth, preferably what grows in here and now in this area, in this season. That's the healthiest.
What is your favorite animal?
I don't have a favorite animal. I like all things that have life. I have one favorite animal, that's my dog, because there has been a permanent, very personal relationship with my dog, a relationship that is almost telepathic, because very often he knows when I'm going to come home, he knows before I arrive. Very often he can anticipate whether I want to go for a walk or where I go, and he goes there already. Because we also, human beings, we also communicate, not only the level of words and of writing, we communicate through feeling, through intuition. Lovers know that. Mothers and sons and daughters know that. And really good friends know that. But in the everyday world, it is masked by competition, masked by the selfishness of ambition. But deep down, we realize that we are connected.
Do you have a favorite flower or plant?
Where I live in Tuscany, there are cypresses. I like cypresses very much. I also admire fig trees for the beautiful leaves that it has and the enormous speed which it can grow and can give shade and harbor people. I love all parts of nature.
What's your favorite city or country that you have been?
My favorite is always where I happen to find myself. I don't put one term above the other. I don't even have a very strictly national or cultural identity. The closest I can come to saying an identity is I have a Western kind of culture. But there's a great admiration and appreciation for the Eastern cultures and for the African cultures as well, Aboriginal cultures as well. But my own seem to be more closely aligned with the Western. So I can't say that's my favorite, but that's my home culture.
Do you have any hobbies besides writing books, which is your main job that you do now? Do you have anything else that you like to do?
Well, I like to move in nature, to walk. I like to swim. I swim every day at home.
You are a musician. You played the piano for a long time. You were a child prodigy. Do you still listen to music? Do you have any favorite you might listen to?
I love listening to music. Over the years, a preference for seemingly simple, but at the same time very harmonious and beautiful music. And the Western kind of simplicity is there in Mozart, there in Schubert, and there in Haydn. And in another way, there is there also in Bela Bartok. The Eastern simplicity is in Japanese, for example, is the way women sing, which is pure harmony and love and kind of relationship to each other. That's another kind of simplicity. But that's also music, and it's natural music. Everything that's natural, not overly complicated. It can be complex, but not complicated. But very meaningful and forming absolute perfect wholes. A perfect whole in music is when we try to change a single sound a single note. The whole composition will suffer because it's all joined together. It's very different from popular music where you can vary and do things with this from one to other affecting jazz. It also has its beauty and its element. But I like the kind of music which has this closed perfection where you can't change anything. You can create new things, but you can't change what there is. It's already there.
Thank you, Ervin. I think this is the end of our interview. So we're gonna put all the information under the video in the description below for your new book, your website, ervinlaszlobooks.com, the Laszlo Institute, the Club of Budapest. And I think we should finish the interview by maybe you can say what's your message for the audience. What is your message for the youth, especially, just our overall worldwide audience?
To live today is a most enviable proposition because it's to live at the beginning of a new epoch and to live at a time when how you think, how each of us thinks and acts makes a real difference. We are not little pawns in a large game. We are key elements of guidance in that game. The game of life, existence on this earth. To live at this time is a privilege, it's an opportunity. And it's truly a wonderful time to be alive. Not to be disappointed, to be disheartened by problems, by chaos, but to recognize underneath the tremendous possibilities. With this world, where a new era is being born, the possibilities that this age, this period offers to each and every one of us, conscious human beings. To be a conscious young person in this time and day is the most enviable position in the universe.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Nora, for this wonderful conversation.
Thank you. Until the next.